Everybody, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. Well, this is a week coming up here where we're going to be going to a convention. We're going to be at Recon. This is at the Miami University in Ohio. It's going to be at the Armstrong Student Center the 23rd through the 25th. I'm going to put links to this in the description of this video, and we're also going to put them on our website. So if you are in that area, then we would love to see you. We'll also be visiting a local game cafe on the Thursday. I believe it's in Dayton. So we're going to be just in different places around there. So hopefully you come out. We're going to be doing a Wits and Wagers game show, and I think we're doing a live Q&A and things. So hopefully you can come and spend some time with us there, or just go, forget us, just go have fun playing games. Because of different things that are going on, as essentially today is a holiday, my live Q&A will be pushed off until tomorrow, so I'll talk to you guys then. And just lots of other things happening this week, but let's get to the news. Okay, first of all, Asmodee has announced that they have that they are changing, or they have their own Asmodee branded company partner now in Germany, Heidelbar. Now, this used to be Heidelberger Spielverlag. This was a company that they bought a couple years ago, and this is now going to be one of their studios. So we'll see what games come from that studio as time goes by. Nite Models, who is making a Harry Potter miniature game. Now, this is going to be coming to Kickstarter later this year and then being released this year. You get a core box, and this looks like like a board, and you're in a castle and things like that, running around with miniatures. This is a very hot IP, considering how old the franchise is at this point. People still really like it. I went to look at their website. They've done DC miniature games, so I don't know much more about it other than that this is going to be extremely popular, I'm sure. Renegade has announced Rocks of Ruin. This is an expansion for Explorers of the North Sea, which will add a 5th player and more stuff to that game. They really have a lot of games from this IP, all these different North Sea things. And also in the Viking realm of things, we have Raids from Yellow. It's a combat-style game with a board. The designers of this game are very good ones, so I'm looking forward to see what this game looks like. Plaid Hat has a Stuffed Fables coloring book coming out, so that's a kind of a companion thing. That's actually a pretty neat thing. Normally I'd be like, coloring book, but considering the audience for the game, they also have a standalone free scenario that you can download that fits between two of the ones in the book. Looney Labs is working with Gale Force 9 to make Star Trek Flux, 2 different versions. I think original Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation. So if you like Star Trek and you like Flux, you are in luck. North Star is following what other many companies are doing, and that is having, kind of rebranding and having different brands. So they have North Star, but now they have Happy Planet. These are games that are going to be raising happiness, and of course the first one is one that they've already had in production for several years now, and that's Happy Salmon. Next, we have Funky Chicken, which is essentially the same thing as Happy Salmon, except dancing involved. And Monster Match, which is like a speed dice rolling style games. I don't know if all their games are going to come in like those little cloth bag type things, the like shaped like a salmon or chicken or all. We'll have to wait and see. Stronghold Games has a new logo. Cool. The sun is coming up. Maybe that's because he moved to Florida. Wildlands is a new game from Osprey. It has miniatures by Martin Wallace. The cover of this looks really cool. Osprey has really been stepping up their game, and their games just seem to be getting better and better all the time. So this one looks like it will be a lot of fun. I think this is their second collaboration with Mr. Wallace. IDW has Galaxy Hunters. This is a game that distinctly looks like it's based on the Pacific Rim movies. With 50mm giant models. This won't be on the Kickstarter and then published. You are giant robots fighting against giant kaiju. Who could be upset over such a thing? Steve Jackson released their shareholder report. I always find these things really fascinating to read because they're very frank about them. They'll tell you what's done well, what hasn't done well. I found that kind of fascinating. They released their best-selling products, which of course many of them are Munchkin, although Illuminati is still number 10. I found that kind of fascinating, considering how old that game is. One of the failures they did list was Port Royal, which they brought, and they said they could not compete with the English version of the game that Americans were getting. So that's unfortunate, but their big push for this coming year is going to be the Munchkin CCG game, which is being released this week, actually. So that would be interesting to see what happens with them. And I appreciate that they do this. I like reading stuff about the industry and what they think. They talked about trends in the industry, where they think they're going, and things like that. Fantasy Flight Games has announced X-Wing Wave 14. This is going to have stuff from Rogue One. You get Saw Gerrera and his ships, and the paint jobs in the X-Wings look really cool here. And then Z-Man has announced a new game called Lowlands. Now this looks like they took this game from Lookout. It really does. It's a game about building a farm, and it's like balance being selfless and being selfish, type thing. But it just looks like a farming game, and it looks really cool. But we'll have to wait for more to learn more of the details about it. Well, that's it for regular news for now. Let's go to Kickstarter. Take it away, Suzanne.
Happy breakfast, everybody. Today we have a long-awaited reprint to take a look at and a couple of IP-based games to check out. So let's get going. Dice Throne Season 2 continues and expands the popular dice roller Dice Throne. Described as King of Tokyo meets Magic the Gathering, Dice Throne pits asymmetric characters, each of whom has their own custom dice, against each other in a battle to take the throne. Action cards provide a one-time pop, while character upgrades will boost your character on an ongoing basis. Dice Throne Season 2 plays as a standalone game, but all the characters are cross-compatible with Season 1. If you're interested in Dice Throne, there's a simple starter dual pack for a pledge of $19 plus shipping, and that includes the new Gunslinger and Samurai. But to get the full Season 2 set of Dice Throne that includes at least 7 new characters, you need to pledge $59 plus shipping. Sonic Battle Racers brings the action of Sonic the Hedgehog to the tabletop world with pre-painted minis. Players get to take on the role of a Sonic character and race through a modular board setup to collect rings and beat up badniks. Each character has its own abilities, and racing uses card-based movement to both speed along and take necessary actions to get boosts or get rid of enemies. And when you reach the end of the race, you can even fight a boss battle against Dr. Eggman. While there's a basic pledge of $50, I think most gamers would be more interested in the $100 Sonic Battle Racers pledge that includes all the Badnik minis and stretch goals. Planetopia is a deck and pattern building game. You'll be collecting Cosmos cards from a sliding market, and these cards let you play alien tokens to the different planets. They also let you manipulate the alien placements, switching them around to help you complete alien patterns on prestige cards for points. Planetopia has cute art and is essentially an abstract game driven by a deck-building mechanism. There's a fancy version with plastic tokens, but a basic copy of Planetopia takes a pledge of €26 plus shipping. The first of Brandon Sanderson's The Reckoners series is getting a board game from Nauvoo Games. The Reckoners takes place in a world in which people have manifested as epics, but superpowers corrupt, and only the Reckoners fight against the epics' oppressive regimes. Players work together in this cooperative game to discover Steelheart's weakness and take him down. Each turn, players roll dice simultaneously, and that sets their actions for the round. Equipment tokens grant more actions, and downtime is low because you're all doing this at the same time. Component-wise, the Reckoners has some great-looking resin dice and custom trays that hold everything from the dice to the tokens for all the different players. The deluxe edition thematically upgrades pieces to metal, but for $69 plus shipping, you can get the base game of the Reckoners. And finally, Finca is getting a reprint through Kickstarter. For those of you unfamiliar with this one, Finca is a 2009 Spiel des Jahres nominee, and that's the year Dominion won, and it's all about harvesting and delivering fruit. A lightweight Euro-style game, Finca is kind of a classic because of this windmill rondel, in which players move their pieces around and take the fruit that match the blade they land on. But movement and quantity of fruit is determined by the number of other player pieces on those blades. It's an engaging game mechanism that works really well with the simple delivery goals throughout the board. Finca's had a bit of a twisty journey to get this reprint going, but for those of you hoping to nab a copy, here you go. Finca includes a bunch of fruit-shaped wooden bits, and a copy takes a pledge of €33 plus shipping. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, play all the games.
Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here, welcoming you to my 200th Board Game Breakfast segment. Yeah. In this series, we have discussed building a board gaming group, historical games, board game bubbles, artwork components, media tie-ins, strange board game related products, of course lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of games, and also have accomplished what is the single YouTube achievement that I am most proud of, the Meeples for Sheepish People series, which discussed challenges that introverts and socially anxious individuals, like myself, can face while participating in the activity and environment of board gaming. You know what? In fact, now that I think about it, one of the few things that hasn't been said in one of these segments is, well, thank you. So I figured that this milestone was going to be as good a time as any to say some long overdue thanks. So here we go. First and foremost, I want to express my limitless appreciation to all of the viewers who have taken time out of their day to spend 3 minutes a week with me here nearly every week for the past 4 years. I've come to recognize many of you in the YouTube comments, on Facebook and Twitter, and it's been a thrill to meet a few of you in person at conventions that when we've had the chance to go there, and a privilege to have formed friendships with many of you who I've met. Oh, and speaking of friends, this silly little segment has given me the opportunity to meet quite a few other media makers who I respect, admire, and may not have had the chance to meet otherwise. Top of the list, of course, is Suzanne Sheldon, who I have immeasurable respect for, both personally and professionally. And Derek Porter, who's often my anchor in a sea of chaos at conventions. And, of course, Eric Summerer, who is the best convention roommate and breakfast companion that a guy could ask for. Sam Healy, who, whether you realize it or not, are a beacon for me when I feel discouraged. Z Garcia, who reminds me that you can still be a really cool guy just by letting yourself be your own quirky self. And Mike Parkinson, whose incredible stamina, motivation, and competency just continually inspires me to do my best as well. And 5 guys out there who have become some of my closest friends in my life. Now, I know that I'm failing to mention just countless others out there who I've also grown to appreciate and admire, and I apologize for that. But of course, there's still one more gentleman that I must mention, the Dice Tower head honcho himself, Tom Vasel. The only reason that I'm able to be in front of this audience for the 200th time in a row is because of the doors that you have opened and the path that you have forged in this industry. And these opportunities, they're not just opportunities for me. Everyone who produces board game media has an advantage because of the trail that you blazed. So thank you for that. And really, thank you for all the other opportunities that you've made available to me that I have not deserved at all. So, with all of that said, what's next? Well, nothing. At least for a while anyway. After producing 200 weekly Head in the Clouds episodes, I'm exhausted. I feel like I need to take, some time to recharge, both physically and creatively. So to be clear, I'm not leaving YouTube or shutting down my own channel or anything like that. I'm just going to be taking a little breather from producing this weekly segment for a while. So thank you for your understanding, and until next time we meet, thanks for watching, for your comments, and for your support. Until then, I've been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, and take care.
So from the Dice Tower this week, The big thing we're going to be doing is the top 100 games of all time from Jason Levine and Melody Vasel. So those will be being released this week, so keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be putting out a few other reviews coming out this week, and I'm doing Best of Designers. I'm doing Uwe Rosenberg and Ted Alsbach, so keep a lookout for those, and then a couple other videos that I've not done before, but I thought you might find interesting. Those should be showing up this week. Near the end of the week, of course, we will be in Ohio, so we hope to see some of you there, so keep an eye out for us if you're in Ohio. Otherwise, there's still going to be a lot of cool things on the channel. If you don't listen to our podcast, a podcast is released for the Dice Tower every Tuesday, and there's lots of other great podcasts in our network, so you'll definitely want to check those out. Let's keep going.
Hello guys, I am Cardboard Rhino and welcome to Rhino Says Yes. Today I wanted to show you one game that should always be around when you're having parties because it's super fun and easy and it's suitable for all ages and gaming backgrounds. It's Clask. The Clask game board is shaped like a ball field with two holes functioning as goals in each end of the field. You have this black piece you control under the board with a magnet. In the middle of the field, three white magnetic pieces serve as obstacles and you should avoid them. You also have these two coins on the side to count the score. The first person to reach 6 wins. You score a point if the ball ends in your opponent's hole and stays in the hole. 2 or all of the 3 white magnetic pieces stick to your opponent's gaming piece. The opponent accidentally pulls their gaming piece into their own hole. And if the opponent loses their gaming piece. Each time a player scores a point, you put the white magnetic pieces back on the board, and the player who did not score a point places the ball in their corner area and play continues. I personally love the fact that since your hands are under the board controlling the gaming piece, it looks like you're moving it with your mind. Clask has been around for about 4 years now, but I first saw it in Essen and I was amazed by the amount of people who already knew about it and were very into it. It is definitely fun for the 2 players competing, but it's also fun for the people who are watching the match. And there are Clask tournaments all over the world, making it an absolute must for parties and gatherings. So Rhino says yes to Clask. You should definitely give it a try.
Hi, Mike Delisio from Solomode Games. We're getting a little bit closer to convention season, or at least I'm feeling like we are because I'm looking forward to it so much. And recently I had a question that I thought was really intriguing. It took me aback, and the question was regarding solo gaming at conventions. And I gotta tell you, this one was tough for me because as much as I love solo gaming, I really gotta tell you, I don't necessarily see the fit there. Sure, if you're there at a convention, maybe you're up really early, you're up really late, there's no one around that's wanting to play a game and you want to, sure, play a quick solo game. But generally speaking, to me, conventions are really about communal gaming, gaming with people you know or you don't know. And I know that social anxiety can certainly be an issue there. Trust me, I've had plenty of circumstances where I've been at a convention and I've been very reticent to interact with or approach people that I don't know. It's not something that necessarily comes naturally to me, so I get the trepidation there. But I would tell you that if you're going to a convention and you're worried that there'll be no one to play with, and so maybe you want to focus on solo gaming, try not to worry about that so much. Reach out to some of the great communities that are available. Post something on Board Game Geek. I'm going to so-and-so convention. Join the newly created Dice Tower Facebook group. There have been so many great posts there already and supportive answers. I think that you would be surprised at how many people would love to meet you, play a game with you, help you feel more comfortable in that convention setting. So, solo gaming at a convention, I think only in very, very unique and specific circumstances. Otherwise, reach out. See if you can find some people, and I think you'd be shocked at how many people would love to meet you, game with you, interact with you. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Hey there everyone, I'm Jen, the board game librarian, here today with my segment From the Page to the Table, flipping some pages and pushing some cubes. Today, what could I possibly be talking about with this rather odd stack of books here? Well, if you're familiar with it, it's the Yale Shakespeare collection. It's almost the entire collection, but in my hand is my personal favorite, Henry V. It tells a lot about the Battle of Agincourt and is quite heart-wrenching. But I'll admit to you guys, as a secret, a lot of my love of this play is dictated on Tom Hiddleston and his portrayal of Henry V. If you haven't seen the Hollow Crown series, I do highly recommend it. It's an excellent production. So this is an obvious one, right? Which would I pair with Shakespeare's plays? Well, of course, Shakespeare by his Starry Games. It's a resource management worker placement game for 1 to 4 players, playing between 20 and 90 minutes. You are, in a matter of 6 rounds, trying to put on the best play possible with the help of actors and actresses, Shakespeare himself, costume designers, and set designers. What's so awesome about this game, and I wish more people talked about it and played it, quite frankly, is the artwork. It's gorgeous. So colorful, vivid, and just beautiful. And the fact that a lot of what you're doing with the set designer, costume designer, and Shakespeare itself is really quite indicative of what you're attempting to do. So every time you play as Shakespeare, you do progress your play along. I'm Jen, the board game librarian, and I'll see you on Instagram.
Howdy folks, welcome to By the Numbers. My name is Hunter Thomason from the Family Showdown. This week's topic, the definitive top 5 games of 2017. I went out to the YouTubes and found the top 5 games of 2017 from 25 different board game personalities. Coming in at number 5 is Charterstone, a Euro legacy game. At number 4 we have Azul, an abstract, well, mostly abstract strategy game. At number 3 we have Pandemic Legacy Season 2, the second in a series of legacy games based on the game Pandemic. At number 2 we have Seventh Continent, a choose-your-own-adventure campaign-style game. And finally, at number 1, we have Gloomhaven, an epic legacy campaign game. So, the top 5 list of 2017 is made up of 4 legacy or campaign games and 1 abstract strategy game.
One of these things is not like the others.
Azul Legacy. So we got here. Oh, awesome! New tiles! Pink! So there you have it, the definitive top 5 board games of 2017. Leave your opinions down in the comments, and maybe I'll feature one of your comments in a future episode.
Well, hello, Breakfasteers. My name is Chris Whipan, and I'm from Game All Night. Now, we're going to be a video show and podcast about the people in, around, and adjacent to the board game hobby. Each week, we're going to feature people and put them on the couch. Now, you may remember Gary Pope from Late to the Table a few weeks ago saying that he was starting a new project. Well, here it is. This is the end of the road. Well, let's hope it's the beginning. Anyhow, we're going to put people on the couch and we're going to do a little segment for you guys each week where we ask them a couple of interesting questions. So we'll see where that takes us. They will appear in studio just like they would for our normal show, which I think will be kind of cool as well. And you can always ask us questions to ask them if you check us out on social media. We do expect to have a large degree of audience participation, especially once we go live with the show. So please tune in and check us out. We'll be starting up probably in about a week, so maybe the week you hear this. So keep an eye out. Check us out on YouTube. Everywhere you can find us, Twitter, Facebook, at Game All Night Show. And that's night spelled N-I-T-E. You can find us on all the usual places. So until then, enjoy the rest of your breakfast and have a great day.
the past, I've talked about the different issues in board gaming, and one of the issues is I think that in the past, board gaming has had a sort of a gender disparity. I mean, it's not even a supposition, it's an actual fact. You used to be able to go to Origins and other conventions and you would see one female for every 50 people. And it is not even right now. I don't know if it will ever be even, but the numbers and things are certainly getting better. And you can watch videos. I watched one a couple weeks ago where a lady talked about different things that game stores do incorrectly when she goes to them. Like when she would go to them and they would just assume she didn't know anything about gaming. Or that they went there and they were buying a game for the daughter and they assumed that she would want some quote-unquote girly style game. And I talked about this in the past, and I think that our hobby needs to be more inclusive on this. But I think that many times when we do these, when we talk about this, we talk, right? We actually need to do things. And so this is something that I need to work on because I have problems in these regards for sure. I grew up in a very strong male-dominated type setting to some degree. I have 6 daughters and my wife. There are 7 females in my house to the 2 males, where there's no domination at all going on there. But I think there's things that we can do and change. So I thought I would talk about things that I am trying to actively change or have changed. These might be minor to you, but I think that they kind of overall can change our worldview. So for example, when I'm talking about a board game, I used to say, and I do this, and I would give like an example. And then Bob attacks me, and then Billy does this. And someone once emailed me and they said, how comes you never use any female names in these examples? And I thought, I don't. So I make it sound like board gaming is a guy's club. I didn't mean to, right? But that's just the impression that can give out. So if you watch my videos, you'll note that I always try to flip around the different names and have all sorts of different names in there for that reason. Terminology, right? I don't know if I'll ever be able to get rid of you guys, right? I'm trying to. I've always said folks because that's a much more inclusive thing. But I think that we got to be careful. I mean, I have in the past said, this person ran like a little girl. And how's it different than crying like a little boy or anything? It's not, to throw like a girl or things like that. And so I'm trying to weed that terminology out. I even called something a sissy at some point, and someone had pointed out that sissy comes from sister, and that could be perceived as negative. Now, I know, I will pause here, that there's going to be people in the comments who are saying, don't give in to the PC police, don't give in to the thought police, blah, 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 blah. But why can't I change terminology? If I mean something, I could say a wimpazoid, or I can say something that effectively means what I'm thinking without offending anybody. So if I can do that, why wouldn't I? Newcomers to the hobby. I have to assume when I meet people that they are new or not. I don't know. And so when I meet people for the first time, or when I teach new people gaming, and this happens a lot in real life, I work with a lot of couples. I must not assume that the guy is the gamer and he brought his wife, girlfriend with her. Why? Why would I assume such a thing? So I've done my best to, when I do this, to explain the game to both people. I don't know who the more gamery person is. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's neither. It doesn't matter. I don't need to carefully help one person over the other. But at the same time, I'm not going to explain the game to the guy and then let him explain it to her, which can be something that we do, and I don't mean to. So when I'm explaining a game, I try to be careful to explain that game to each person equally. And just making these assumptions, right? So when I meet somebody and they're like, oh yeah, my husband likes games, and okay, great, and you like them too, or something along that fact. I have to be very careful with these assumptions, and I have a hand in game development occasionally. I have a hand in game development with Sheriff of Nottingham and Dice Tower Essentials and stuff, and that's a place where I can go in there and say, hey, if we're going to have characters in these games, we need to have more women. In fact, when we did Sheriff of Nottingham, there was 5 characters in the game. There was 4 male characters and 1 female character. And it was like, why did we do that? So I really lobbied hard, strongly, that when we had the expansion, add another character, that character had to be a female character. Why not have them evenly across the board? And I think that as a reviewer, I can call out good behavior and say, this is really cool that this game has the characters on both sides. So you can do that and make things a welcoming environment. You know, I don't think there's ever a thing where we can be like, wow, it's just us guys here. No. Listen, we need to have an environment, especially at game stores, that anybody can come into and anybody can be welcome. And this goes way beyond just male and female, right? There's way more involved in that, from age to it's a big pile that everyone should feel welcome. And I can go out of my way to be part of that change, to have that inclusion. I know that every time I talk about this, people get kind of upset because they're, you know, I don't know why. I really don't know why. I'm not a political person at all. I just want more people to be able to play board games. And I want to look at my daughters and say, you could be a game designer if you want to. You could be a game publisher if you want to. You could be whatever you want, essentially. Nothing's going to stop you. And I want this hobby, if you want to be part of it, and my kids don't have to be, but if you want to be part of this board gaming hobby, I want it to be a welcoming place to you. And I need to do more than just talk about it. I need to act on it. This segment is part of me acting on it. The little changes that I can make are acting on it. Maybe you can help. What are in the comments? What are little changes that we can make, or how we do things? Like, for example, me giving an example of in a game of who's playing a game. That's a small thing, right? But it's a thing. It's something that when people are listening, they can identify and say, that's the kind of people gaming at that table. What are other little things that we can do to make the hobby more welcoming to everyone?
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Plume. So this is a simple set collection game. However, the way that you pick up the cards and also score them is what makes this game interesting. So let me show you a little bit about it and why I really like it. So the first thing you'll do is grab your deck and set it up exactly like this. You'll place a marker in the middle of this flock, and what you'll do on your turn is grab any one of the cards that is surrounding it and add it to your birdhouse. You'll then move the marker to the space where the card was. Then the next player can choose which card they want on their turn. If a player ever divides the flock into two groups, then the smaller group will be discarded, and then we continue play with the remaining cards. If the marker is ever next to only one card, then the player continues drawing cards until the marker is next to at least two other cards. And the game continues until there's no more cards in the flock. At the end of the game, we look at all the birds that we've collected into our birdhouse, and we can discard any one. Every card has a special scoring effect, and we will only score the card if it has the majority of that type. In this example, we have 2 of each one of these, so we will score each one of these separately. For example, the collector likes variety, so we'll score a point for every different type of bird in our house. And in this example, we have 6 different birds, so this card will score 6 as well as this collector. So as you can see, this game involves spatial awareness. The players have to know exactly what kind of card they want to pick up and kind of lead the direction of the marker. Another thing that they have to be aware of is the type of cards they're collecting, because you can only score the majority. So you always have to be aware of where that marker is going, what you're picking up, and what you're going to score. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Happy breakfast, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about theming in a slightly different way, and why to me it's so important. There's 2 games that I think are very similar in my collection, and that's Patchwork and Bar and Park. They are effectively both the same game, using Tetris-style blocks, but I think the theme really sets them apart. Patchwork, of the 2, is definitely considered the more cutthroat one, and certainly has a drier theme to it. I would only get this game out with people that I know like games and like this style of game, because it really just doesn't grab people instantly. And when you're trying to introduce new players to games, sometimes the theme really does help. Having an incredibly cool theme in comparison is Bar and Park, where you're building a bear park out, almost like a zoo tycoon crossed with Tetris, and you're placing these tiles and you've got the nice little details on them. They're not just little scraps of cloth, they're enclosures They're sort of streets for food. They're even portaloos. It just looks so much more fun on the table. It's more fun to talk about the theme, and it gets people energized and ready to play. Even new players, you can show the front of the box, they're like, oh, that's all right. You get the pieces out, they look at them, they like the artwork, it's nice and simple. And I'll actually play Bar and Park at 2-player over Patchwork, just because it's a bit more fun. Anyway, thanks for listening to me waffle on about sort of tile placement games and why theme's important. And I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Hi everyone. The biggest video sharing website in the world, YouTube, is changing things up. They do not longer want to partner up with smaller YouTube channels. Being a YouTube partner has a couple of perks. First of all, it's easier to grow your audience, and second, you will get a little bit of money for all those ads that are shown during your videos. If you want to stay a YouTubing partner, then you need to fulfill 2 quests. And a lot of those smaller YouTube channels, like mine, are trying to fulfill these. Over on my channel, I am giving away 3 escape room games once I hit 1,000 followers. And after that, all I have to do is make each of those followers watch 4 hours of my content in a year. I'll make you. This week I am playing a game that changes things up as well. I only unboxed my Kickstarter copy last Friday. This week I am playing Thunderstone Quest. Thunderstone Quest is a highly thematic deck builder. Every player starts out with basic adventurers and a couple of items, and they try to level up these adventurers and recruit heroes, buy powerful items, weapons, spells, and in the end try to defeat monsters and the Guardian. This is the 3rd installment of Thunderstone, and it brings a couple of very neat, cool things, like dungeon tiles that make it harder to beat those monsters. But also you get some perks like guild sponsorships. And the coolest of the new tricks, quest cards. At the beginning of a game you receive one of those quest cards and you try to fulfill it to get huge, powerful items that help you later on in the game. I have always loved Thunderstone, and this 3rd installment is the best one yet. The art is great, the components are really, really good, so I highly recommend you check this one out once it is available. Sorry for that. So, Thunderstone Quest. Thanks for watching, everyone.
So what should we play?
How about a fun game for 2?
Sounds good. C4.
Miss. B4.
Does your person look like if an older Reggie Mantle got really into shoegaze?
Nope. Okay, I'm gonna roll again.
You owe me 2 coins.
No, my ambassador blocks that.
That's not an ambassador. Hypnotoad, Rash, and Slippy. S-L-I-P-P-Y. Okay, so this is gonna destroy your base.
Dragon style.
Okay, so I go here.
Shelob! Draw 4.
Connect 4.
Well, I guess we won.
It was definitely a fun game for 2.
Now what?
Drink it?
Yes.
Right! That was another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks, guys, for watching. I always appreciate you coming by each and every week. Well, it looks like the Kickstarter is wrapping up. We are hoping to get the Pledge Manager out to everybody this week, so if it's not this week, it'll definitely be next week, but we're working hard in getting that done. If you wanted to support the Dice Tower and you missed it, we will have a way for you to do that if you want to. But regardless, guys, you've been great. I cannot wait to do some of the cool things that we are planning on working on, and we're looking forward to making this year the best year ever for the Dice Tower. Thanks so much. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast.